Welcome to the Mostly Pottered at Night. Mostly, I am Salem, joined by my co-host Graveyard.
Hello.
This is episode 102 of our weekly All Things Horror podcast. Social media. To some, a lifeline into the world of celebrity gossip, career networking, or prank videos. To others, a buffet of information that can be turned against you or even take over who you thought you were. This week, we take a look into the darker side of social media from people who use that information in all the wrong ways and learn all the wrong lessons.
We can learn what the lesson is.
So the three movies we're doing this week is Spree from 2020, Influencer from 2023, and Followers from 2024. Yes, these are all new because, you know what, social media is pretty new, right?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that we really have, with Followers, our first low budget indie horror that we really have covered.
It's not that low budget.
But I mean, for the new craze of it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, production values were low. That's for sure.
Yes.
All right, so I will start with Spree 2020, starring our good friend Steve from Stranger Things.
Yes.
And David Arquette as his dad. That's really it. I don't think I really know anybody else in the movie.
I do not know anyone else.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
So those are the only two. Anyway, so essentially we get Steve is a bottom of the barrel streamer, right? He's like the kind of streamer that nobody watches, like single digits. Maybe he's hit double digits one time in his life, right? He is trying very hard. I mean, he's doing a lot of stuff, just nobody cares what he's doing. But he tries too hard. Everything is, has to be about streaming. It's his whole life is trying to get people to watch him, but nobody cares. So he is a what they call Uber in this universe is they call it Spree. And then Lyft is called what, Go-Go?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so Spree is the name of Uber, so he's essentially a spree driver. And he does ride sharing for a living, and he's got cameras set up all over his car. He's got 6 cameras
for Kurt's World.
Yeah, he's got 8 cameras.
Yeah,
because he's got whatever. He's got dash cam and reverse cam, one in each of the 4 windows, and then one in the front and one in the
back.
Yep. Anyway, so he basically is jumping in his car in the beginning. He runs back in. His mom's calling him. He runs back in for a minute. He comes back out. Okay, it's time to go. So he starts live streaming, and he's picking people up. And we get little bits and pieces of the kind of backstory and other streams he's done as we go along. And basically what he's doing is he's doing what he calls the lesson, #the lesson. And it's essentially him killing people with poisoned water bottles. So he has the water bottles in his Spree car, ride sharing car. So when these people get in and drink the water, they die.
Pretty fast.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't show what he injects into the bottles, but it looks like an acid symbol. I don't know what it is. But anyway, yeah, he gives you a demonstration of how to inject the water bottle and then use a glue gun to seal it up so nobody will notice. Again, that's one of his previous things. Anyway, so he kills 2 people like that. He kills this mean realtor lady.
Yep.
And then he kills that jerky business dude.
That was pro-Nazis. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. So I think he was being driven to like a white nationalist meeting or something. So like these people are very like, you're like, okay, maybe he's just doing it to people that like deserve it, right? Maybe he's
Mhm.
like scoping these people out for some reason, right? It doesn't seem like we don't get an insight into how he picks these people. I think it's just whoever he picks up next. I don't think he's choosing these people.
I think when he realizes that they're, police comes like, hey, have some water.
Yeah, I think he's forcing that, but like the water was there.
Yeah.
Like anybody that got in and drank the water would have died. Like, what's he gonna do? Slap their hand?
Right.
So again, I don't think he was picky. I think the movie just conveniently put mean people there to make you feel better about him, at least in the beginning.
Yeah.
So you don't hate him immediately. I think that's why. Anyway, so he's got like this kid that he used to babysit for, who is like a younger kid. He's like what, college age ish. Kurt is college age, and then Bobby, the kid that's his like who used to babysit, who's like a famous streamer. He does like goofy prank videos and shit like that. But it's all staged prank video stuff. He's like very, very popular, and he's like trying to kind of piggyback off of his stuff, but the kid isn't really having it. But he does watch his stream, but he basically makes fun of him the whole time in his chat because he's basically the only person watching it.
Right.
But it's going along, and he's like killing these people live on stream.
And yet no one's still watching.
And no one is watching. Well, I think it's because no one believes him, because there's no like blood. They're just like going cough, cough, dead.
Well, I'd also say it's because they know Bobby Basecamp, who literally fakes everything. So
Right. So yeah, I think they don't think that it's real. And again, there's no like blood or anything to prove that it's real, right?
Right.
So anyway, so he's doing that for a while. He ends up getting this one guy who's just like a total bro, who's an asshole, who's trying to get to drink the water, and he just like won't.
He's a
drink the
crypto
water.
bro. Yeah.
Right, yeah, he just won't drink the water. So he gets like what they call like Spree Social, which is like the shared
Yeah.
thing where it's like, oh, somebody else wants a ride. So he stops to pick up this girl who is apparently a famous comedian. She tries to like avoid the car, but they kind of coax her into the car by telling her it'll be free. So they get her into the car. The crypto bro in the back, starts like hitting on her. And Kurt is just like, once he figures out that she's like a famous comedian that has like followers, he's just like trying to latch on to her follower count. Like, oh, well, my name's this. Go ahead and stream it. Oh, hey, this Kurt's World. Like and subscribe, whatever. I always follow back.
Mhm.
He's always got his tagline every time the camera's pointed at. So anyway, they basically get into a big fight because the crypto bro, gets rejected, and he gets very pissy, and he starts talking, not nice things. She gets all, upset and like, I want to get the hell out of here. So he pulls over. She gets out, but takes water with her, and he gets like, no, 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 put it back. You can't have that. And she's like, thinks he's just being a jerk about it. But luckily, she doesn't drink the water, but she does spray it in the crypto bro's face and then throw it at the car.
Yeah.
So crypto bro dies from the water being sprayed in his face.
Which is a pretty interesting poison to do skin
Right.
contact kill and internal.
Right. Exactly, like immediately. I don't know what that could possibly be, but whatever it is, it's strong stuff.
Yeah.
So at that point, he's just kind of like, what the hell? Like, nobody's still watching. Like, I just had all that stuff. Like I had a famous person in my car who was like doing like a stream from my car, and I said my name and people still aren't watching. And Bobby is like, oh, it's because you suck. Like you're not doing anything good, whatever. So he's at the gas station, like, prepping up, like, okay, I gotta like take this to the next level. And Bobby just keeps like, negging on him, like, hey, you suck. Like, you better do something great next, or I'm gonna, or I'm gonna stop, following you, and I'm not gonna give you any followers at all.
Yeah.
So we get kind of a split screen thing where it looks like he's driving to the girl's house, to whatever, kill her, I'm guessing. But instead, it turns out to be one of her other friends who's picking her up to go to this comedy show that she was going to, and Kurt turns up at Bobby's house, And then Bobby's like, "Oh, what the hell? What are you doing here? Like, I knew it was a mistake to tell you where I lived. Like this is, I told you to do something cool and you come over here. Like, what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
So they basically get into it, and Kurt kills him.
Yep.
Kurt kills him with his own gun that he pulls out to try to defend himself. He kills him. Everybody is like on it because Bobby is streaming when this happens, and they're all like shocked, but they think it's fake because Bobby fakes stuff.
Right.
So he basically takes over his stream or forwards his stream. I don't know how that shit works, but he does that, right? So he basically takes over Bobby's stream count. So now he's got a pretty big stream count, and he's like, okay, follow the lesson. We're gonna go do some stuff. And then he goes and picks up like 3 people, like 2 girls and a guy who are like, party people. And he basically like convinces them to jump up, like 2 of them stick their heads up through the sunroof, and then one of them sticks her head out the side window, and he basically closes the sunroof and the window so their heads are like stuck out. And then he goes to a junkyard and like dogs attack and kill them in the car.
Yep.
So now like people are like, the number count is going up. Like people are like, what the hell is this? And he keeps talking about the lesson, hashtag the lesson, share, spread it, whatever. So then he cleans out his car. He gets a call from his dad that like, oh, I have a DJ gig at this club. You pick me up and I'll bring you there. And he's like, DJ Uno is going to be there. And Kurt is like, I don't know who DJ Uno is, but all the chat kids in Bobby's chat know who DJ Uno is, and they love DJ. Because apparently DJ Uno is an attractive girl who had a sex tape, and that's how she got popular. So they're all like, oh yeah, you got to go see DJ Uno. So he picks his dad up. They go to this club. It ends up being a strip club.
As well as a Tuesday afternoon.
Right. Yeah. There's no one there. And the dad is like, oh, I work here like every other Tuesday, which is like nothing. Like they don't care what you're doing. But anyway, but DJ Uno is there, and he tries to like talk to her, and she's like blows him off. And he's like, oh, sorry, kid, we tried. And he like kind of, slings in there, and he kind of gets pushed to the side. So he kind of gets pissed off and goes to leave. But when he goes to leave, DJ Uno is like, hey, you know where to go, where a taco truck is? And he's like,
the taco truck.
Yeah, the taco truck. And he's like, sure, I can take you to a taco truck. So he takes her to a taco truck. They get there. She's like, oh, here's some money. Go get me some tacos. So he goes to wait in line for tacos. And she drinks some of the water when she's alone in the car. And she passes out and then appears to be dead.
Because there's no difference between what she went through and everyone else that we saw.
Right. Yeah. It's like, yeah, she took a sip and then died, which is what everybody else did. So he gets the tacos. He goes back to the car. He sees her like dead. He sees the water and he's like, oh shit. Like I didn't want that to happen, but whatever. And of course, cops show up. And then the cops are like, oh, what's going on here? Like, oh, we need to, check out your girlfriend. She wakes up, flips out, grabs the gun, that starts shooting and running. So they're chasing after her. And then he gets chased by the cops too, right?
Well, because she does shoot one through the face.
Right. Yeah. She shoots and kills one of the cops immediately and then runs. So there's like a big kind of like manhunt after him. So he ditches his car and then somehow sneaks into the Comedy Girls show.
He ditches his car because he goes through a
homeless encampment, right?
Yeah, and like flips it.
Right. So that he goes to the Joke Bros whatever comedy club. The Comedy Girl, we do get scenes of her like at home and streaming like what she's gonna wear, and the guy that shows up to her house that we think is him to kill her, but it's actually her friend, and they drive to the show, and then we get like some pre-show stuff, and then we get the show, and she basically goes on stage and makes this big show about how she's gonna get rid of social media, and she's not gonna be controlled by social media anymore, she's free, blah blah. She like throws her phone down like pretending like she broke it. And then meanwhile, Kurt like hears all this and he's like, I guess kind of like has a change of heart, kind of, because he's like he has a gun and he's like going to shoot her.
Like he's
But then
in
like
the front row with the
right,
gun visible.
right,
Yes.
yeah, he's like right there, and then he like changes his mind and like sneaks out, and then gets a go-go because Spree has been shut down because they realize that he's been killing people, or a Spree driver has been killing people, so they shut Spree completely down.
Yes.
But Go-Go is still running, so he gets a Go-Go. He kills the driver of the Go-Go and takes his car, and then the comedy girl, she, what was her name? Claire. I think her name was Claire.
Sure, let's go with that. I don't remember off the top of my
I
head.
thought it was Claire. Anyway, so she, goes to call up Spree. Oh, Spree's down. That's weird. Let's call Go-Go. She calls Go-Go. The car comes. She gets in the car, and of course, it's Kurt's car. And as they're driving, he's real. She realizes, oh, it's this guy again. And he starts driving all crazy, and then she realizes that like this is not good. And she's like, he's going the wrong direction. He's like, are you taking me home? He's like, yeah, I'm taking you to my home. And so they drive there. They kind of like they get into an accident. Whatever. There's they get out of the car. She tries to run him down with the car. She misses, and then anyway, he gets back in the car. And anyway, the car ends up going through the front of his house.
Mm-hmm.
And inside of the house is his dad, who's like all like drugged out.
Oh, very much drugged out. Yeah.
All drugged out. But his parents were divorced. Well, we'll talk about this later. But yeah, his parents are divorced. So David Arquette, his dad, is all drugged out, going, "What the hell was that?" And then he realizes that his mom is dead on the floor. And he's like, "Oh man, you killed your mom." And then so we get kind of a flashback. And yeah, when he ran back in the beginning of the movie, he actually killed his mom apparently, and then came back out. That was the start of the lesson: kill your mother. So there's a kind of whatever showdown thing to where she gets out of the car, he gets out of the car, she gets back in the car, and she drives him into the wall and squishes him against the wall and survives. And the dad dies too.
Yes, because he was originally shot by Claire, and then his son finished him off.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody dies but Claire. And then the movie ends, but there's a lot of like post-credit scenes of like her being a survivor and then getting back into social media and being even a bigger star than she was before.
And Kurt's world still, despite being taken down, has gone viral.
Well, he went viral that night, but they're viral. He's viral in all the wrong places.
4chan. He's
4chan and 4chan and Reddit. There's things,
Yeah.
People saying like, "Hey, you remember this guy? He was, was he good? Was he bad? What did he mean?" But he ends up being the 4chan hero instead of the
right, like
streamer hero he wanted to be.
Here's the videos that you can't find anywhere. It's like essentially dark web stuff at this point.
Right. Well, I'm assuming they took it all off of the mainstream stuff because you don't want murder on there. So, so they took it all down. But yeah, that's essentially it.
So, what were your? I've never seen this before. Did you see this before?
No.
So, what were your first thoughts on this?
I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's a lot of social media stuff. I'm not really into social media, so a lot of the stuff was beyond me. I was like, okay, I'll take your word for it. I don't know how this normally works, but so it's beyond me. I mean, again, it just it always seems sad to me when people like care so much about social media, like as a detriment to the rest of their life because they have to like be cool on social media. You know what I mean, or have a certain amount of followers or likes or whatever. And if they don't have that, then they're like their life is not complete.
Well,
and
they don't
like,
have clout. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's like Kurt was like his whole life was that, and he never got it. Well, I guess he ended up doing it at the end, but the wrong way.
Right. He'd been doing it for 10 years, and his videos had like 0 to 3 views.
Right.
Yeah. I'll say this at this, because this is the first movie that I watched, because we go usually chronologically order, is God damn, I hate social media sometimes, and this shows why I don't like it. The fakeness, the everyone wants to be the star, everyone wants to be that paparazzi person. It's the new celebrity, and it's just so fake. It really is.
Yeah, I can't do it. I stay as far away from that stuff as I can. I mean, I'm very, very, very selective about the stuff I will watch.
Right.
And it's very, very little. And I don't watch anybody that's obviously, fake like that. I can't do it. It hurts. It physically hurts me to do it.
Right. And it's something that I do for our shows. Now, I don't do TikToks. I don't do the every pose. I don't do that stuff. I do it just to help.
What about the Snap Champs?
I don't do that either. We're old men, so I'm just like, I can't do it. Like, I use it as a form of communication and posting, and not like, like, comment, subscribe within 5 seconds, 5, 4. It's that stuff that my kids watch, and a lot of kids watch, of the adults doing stupid, kiddish things to get, the 10 and under audience is what I call it, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thankfully I don't have that problem.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it shows, we'll get into that, like, the badness that is social media.
Yes. Okay. I'll do my highs first, then you can do yours. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a high and a low, but I guess it can be both. I would say in this movie, it does well because it tells a story. And I'd say that social media delusion that we were just talking about, right? Where it's like you're deluding yourself into thinking you're more important than you are. Where it can be very, very sad. But again, if that wasn't there, we wouldn't get the movie, right? So,
right, yeah.
So to a degree, it has to be good. I would say that Steve sold it, right? He did a great job. Like, he really portrayed a person that would do anything to be popular on social media, and like really sold that. I mean, especially like the scenes with like him and Bobby, right? Because Bobby's just like a kid, but he still like looks up to him like a mentor, even though he's a child, because he has more views and more followers. And to him, that's the most important thing. It's just odd that he's, at least 10 years older than this kid. And he still sees him as like his hero. It's bizarre. But I thought he did a great job, portraying that. I think a lot of the presentation was interesting. There's a lot of like split screen stuff. Sometimes they even went like 3 different screens. They're showing this like different angles, or like different people are showing, or different people are seeing, like different things happening at the same time. Like when it was the 3 people in his car, there was like, you got all the different angles of all their different phones of everything that was happening. We get the goofy, like, follower counts and the like hearts and all that, the chat things rolling by. And really, I mean, it was social media. Like, it was just painted all over the screen. There was no avoiding it, but that was the point. But again, I thought it was done well.
Right.
It was done exactly the way it was supposed to be. I did like how they made fun of Reddit and 4chan at the end. Of course, they didn't call it that, but you get, when you see the green text, right? It's 4chan. When you see the poor formatting, it's Reddit. It's like, very obviously that's what they were going.
Well, I mean, we know it just because of what we do, and it's obvious to us, and obvious to a lot of people that know 4chan and Reddit.
Right. And I did like the end credits. I thought the end credits were pretty cool. The way that they did them, the way that they presented them, I thought they were good. I liked it. That's it for me. You can go ahead.
I absolutely agree. Joe Carey sold it. Steve sold it. He seemed like that desperate person. I do like showing how, 10 years being at the grind and not understanding what it means, and showing how unhinged he gets really shows the dangers of social media. And I think that was portrayed perfectly in this movie, showing like what happens if you don't get to the point where you think you deserve to be.
Right. I mean, if you're doing it and you're not getting any views, but you're having fun,
Right.
who cares? Yeah, I mean, if you're having fun and this is what you enjoy doing, yeah, it doesn't matter how many people are watching. But if your entire goal is I need more people to watch, and after 10 years you're still in single digits, I mean, come on, man. Like you got to do something else. You can't pin your happiness on this thing that is not there.
Right. And I just, you find it sad because like he had decent like graphics and intros and stuff like that. So clearly he just wasn't charismatic enough to pull it off.
Or again, I mean, if he was just like live streaming his ride sharing, right? I mean, like, who's going to watch that? Who cares?
Correct.
Like, I mean, if you were a famous person doing that, sure, people would watch that.
Right.
But like, he's not.
Right. I mean, he has potential of getting famous people in there because he in the LA area. So I can maybe see that. But to your point, the camera setup, we always, people, especially indie horror, people harp on people that just use cell phones to record everything for movie wise. And that makes, I can understand the dislike of it when you have, it doesn't need to be that format. But in this case, that format works. You know what I mean? Because
it's like a modern found footage, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think this movie ties into that perfectly. It makes sense to have the cameras and the phone view camera and stuff like that. It works beautifully in that, and it sticks to it, and I appreciate it for that. Because sometimes all of a sudden you'll be watching a movie, all of a sudden that turns into like a Skype phone call for no reason and only in one spot.
Right.
So it never strays away from its style, and it's good to see them do that. I think it was interesting with the dog attack. Like the first time I thought we all thought their heads were gonna get chopped off because they ran across that thing, like, oh shit, there's something across the roof and we're gonna get their heads chopped off. Nope. Now I'm just trap your heads and have dogs eat it.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that would be really hard to judge because you don't know how tall the people in your car are going to be.
Right.
You don't know if they're going to like lean back or forward. You know what I mean? Like, that's a really hard thing to pull off. I mean, yes, it's a movie. They could just, pretend like it works no matter what. But
right.
Logistically, it would be harder.
Yeah. And it's interesting that he found the world's most deadly poison that ingested kills you instantly and skin contact kills you instantly.
Right. Well, to be fair, it did spray in his face.
Right.
So it might have gotten in his eyes, his nose, or his mouth. We don't know. But yeah, right. It's a magic poison, whatever.
Right. And like I said, as you point out, I do like the fact that he is killing terrible people initially.
Right. And but that's just by chance. Which is sad, but whatever.
Yeah. That's what I got for my highlights. So we're going to go into my low points.
Go for it.
Oh, sorry. One more highlight. Her taking the selfie with his dead body. I thought that was funny.
Well, I think that was the ultimate, like, she's just as bad as everybody else because she did it because the Bobby streamers told her to.
Right. For sure. All right. Now into my low points. Bobby Basecamp.
You don't like Bobby Basecamp?
I know those videos. I hate those videos. It is like, to me, the worst type of social media person for stuff like that. Does it work? Yeah. Do I think it should work? No. It's that bad. Obviously the whole social media, and as we discussed, the need for attention, the look at me, why aren't you looking at me mentality. I don't like it. So obviously that's the point of this episode, but all that stuff. I'm not sure how killing his mom ties into whatever the lesson is. You think if he was doing this from the beginning, he would have shown his mom being killed. It's like an after the fact thing. Like, we don't know he killed her when he says goodbye to her. And then we flash back to it. It's like, oh yeah, he killed her.
Well, yeah, we only flash back to it because we see her dead body.
Right.
But I don't. Maybe it was like because he was going back to his house. Maybe he had some kind of finale planned, and it just didn't ever happen.
Maybe.
I don't know. I agree. It doesn't fit at all. But I was gonna say maybe he was trying to do something at the end. I don't know.
Right. And like I said, we know it's step 1, kill people. Step 3, be famous. What's step 2? We don't know. We don't know his final plan of the lesson. Like I said, it's maybe that's the idea of the interpretation is like, is the lesson to not be like him? Is the lesson to how to go viral? I guess is left for interpretation.
Yeah, right.
Honestly, as we discussed before, I don't think he should have died. I think he should have lived in jail and been taken off of social media completely. So that, I mean, social media was his life. And I think it would have been a punishment for him to not have access to social media to see how he's doing or what's going on about him. Just kind
of that's a boring ending.
It is. It is, but
that's a boring ending. You want pizzazz.
I guess. You know, for somebody who has scouting talent for comedians, All Eyes on Me throws phone to the ground, gets applause, famous.
Well, I think that they were trying to stress, like when she was in the car. This is one of my. I'll just go into mine now.
Yeah, when she was in my low point. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when she was in the car, they made it seem like she was like moderately, maybe locally famous, right? They didn't make it seem like it was that big of a deal. Like the one guy recognized her, but Kurt didn't even recognize her. He's like the guy that's on social media 24/7, right? He should know all the major players, and he didn't even know who she was. So the crypto bro knew who she was, and then he latched on, going, "Oh no, you got a lot of followers. Oh, okay." Now he was interested, but like they kind of played it off as like she wasn't that big. Like if she was that big, she would not be taking a shared ride somewhere, right? She would have a car picking her up, or at least something. Like if she's going to a show, again, if she was that famous, she wouldn't be sharing a ride anyway. But after that point, everyone that talks to her calls her like the queen of social media. And like she's like the biggest thing in social media ever.
Right.
I don't know if they're just fluffing her up or if they meant that literally. I don't know. I just know that it's like it's very weird how they do that. I'm not a big fan of her whole subplot. Because her whole subplot is like, oh, she's too good for social media. Oh, I'm giving up social media, and then she throws her phone down and pretends like she stops on it. And then when she gets in the car directly after, she's on her phone.
Yep.
And I think the ultimate, like you're just like the rest of us, is that when they tell her to take a selfie with the body, she does. Right? Like she's listening to people she doesn't even know simply because they're followers on social media and they want her to do it.
Right.
She's just as bad. She tries to pretend like she's better, but she's not. She's just as bad. I think that's the ultimate lesson that they're trying to do there. But yeah, Lowe's in general is social media. I think just period. Social media period is just bad. And the stuff like this it just shows you why. It's people get too obsessed, like too obsessed. Like the younger generations, it's like that's their whole life. Like I feel bad for the poor girl, like 13-year-old girls. That's like their entire life is that. Like if one of their friends doesn't like one of their pictures, it's like the end of the world. It's like, dear God, I can't imagine living like that. kind of thankful it wasn't around when I was a kid. I mean, not that I would have given a shit then. I don't give a shit now, but it's just sad to me. All the social media as a whole is sad to me, and I really feel bad for the younger people. Anyway, I already said I wasn't a big fan of Jessie. That's the comedian girl's subplot. I thought it was, again, she makes it seem like she's better, but she's not. She's just as bad as everybody else. She
Correct.
just tries harder.
Yeah.
And again, what is the lesson? What is the point of the lesson? Like you were saying before, I don't know. Was it killing people to go viral? Like, this is what you have to do. You have to be this committed to do it. Is it, yeah, like you said, is it don't do this? Like the lesson is don't do this because it's bad.
Right.
I mean, we don't know. I mean, no idea, because the lesson, he kept saying hashtag the lesson. This is the lesson, but he never gave any steps in the fucking lesson. The only step that we know was a part of the lesson was him injecting water bottles with poison.
Yep.
That was the only prep work that he did, other than putting cameras all over in his car. That was it. Those are the only 2 prep steps that we got. We don't know where it was going, and we have no idea how it was going to end. So I wish there was more of like what he thought his plan was going to be, at least.
Right.
But it just, the lesson, which is like, seemed like an important subplot, just literally went nowhere.
I was almost expecting the last video to be uploaded is the lesson. The video explained the lesson.
Right, something.
Yeah.
The one thing I didn't like is, like, why the hell was his dad in the house? Because they talked in the beginning of the thing, when they're talking about him growing up as a kid or whatever. They talk about his parents were divorced, and they don't see each other that often because he doesn't see his dad very often. His dad only pretty much pops up when he needs something. Right? So his dad and his mom don't really talk to each other. So why the hell was the dad in the house? And 2, how the hell was the dad in the house without seeing the body first? She was laying in the middle of the front floor.
Well, he had a needle hanging from his arm, essentially.
I know, but I'm saying, like, how did you get in the house and start shooting up without seeing a dead body? Like, wouldn't you want to go, oh, I wonder if my wife is here so she doesn't catch me shooting up in her bathroom? Like, you should, like, scope the place out first. Even junkies do that. It made no sense. He just came out of the back room like, what? Like, oh, there's a dead body. Right. I mean, I understand it's David Arquette and they wanted to, like, put him in the finale, but, like, they should have had a better fucking reason than that or something.
Right.
I don't know. But there's no explanation. He could have been like, maybe he showed up looking for him because he couldn't get a hold of him or something. That would have made more sense.
Yeah.
Not really in character for him, but at least it would have made more sense than him coming out of a back room in a house with a dead body. Just bizarre. That's it.
Okay.
All right. So, Spree from 2020. We'll do intrusive notifications this week. So, how many intrusive notifications out of 10 would you give Spree?
Like I said, I enjoy this movie. It's a subject matter that we don't particularly like in social media. I think it was I think it was a interesting movie. I think it shows the pitfalls and the sadness of influencers. I will give this 7.5 intrusive notifications out of 10. How about you?
Yeah, it was decent. It's not really a movie I would want to watch again.
Right.
Anytime soon. So, but it was all right. I'll give it a 6.25.
6.25
intrusive notifications out of 10. Yes.
Okay.
And then the next movie we have is Influencer. Came out last year.
Yes, I will take it away. So essentially, we are introduced to a woman who is in Thailand by herself, posting all these great vacation pics. And she's goes to sit down at the bar at a resort, probably the nicest resort I've ever seen. And she's kind of like, an old British guy starts hitting on her a little bit, and a woman goes, "Hey, you don't have to listen to him. You want to get out of here?" She goes, "Okay." So they kind of go and see Thailand at night, and just we get a little bit of montaging of their time together, you know. And we have to say that she's the new woman is very careful about uh not being in any of her pictures, right? She's like, hey, I just don't want to be in pictures. You know, we think, oh, that's interesting. You know, we think, oh, maybe it's because of her, you know, face birthmark. You go, okay, that's you can understand that.
Now, does she ever? I don't think she ever says her name.
eh,
Does she? She does later on. Later on in the film, it is said.
see that
But I'm
she's
saying in
CW,
this,
yeah.
right? But in this entry like section of the film, I don't think she ever says her name.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I didn't think so. Like,
No.
I was listening for it, and I'm like, I don't think it was ever said.
Yeah. So yeah, she's CW. Madison is the influencer. So they're like, hey, you know, you have to get up really early. I'm taking this great spot, and so they're driving across, you know, the lagoon to an island, and I would say the longest opening scene to a movie I have ever seen before we get the title card of influencer is there. So
30 minutes.
yeah.
Well, sorry, 26 and a half minutes, but it was basically 30 minutes.
Yeah, it is like a third of the movie.
Right.
Which like I said, I've never seen that long of one. So anyway, like they go to, you know, an island. She's like, hey, you have no cell phone service here. And they're just having a fire and they're just reminiscing a little bit more about stuff. She's like, man, can you imagine if you took me out here? She's like, yeah, CW's like, this is how I wouldn't kill you. I would just leave you out here and take over your life. She's like, ha, 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 ha. Oh, and then she wakes up in the morning and she leaves her. And now we dedicate all our time to CW at this point because Madison's now stuck in the island. You know, when she does get there, I gotta say this, she does see 7 hash marks carved into a log by the fire that was already there, or the fire pit. So anyway, we just kind of see CW slowly take over Madison's life and taking pictures and acting as her on all social media. You know, sorry, I should point out that in the beginning part too, Madison's hotel room was broken into, her passport was taken, so she had to stay there for another 2 weeks. That comes into play later, so I have to mention that. So anyway, then we kind of see the fallout of this. So like I said, she's doing all these posts. She has I'd say a very robust computer program to do deep fakes, right?
Yeah, it's like an AI like filter,
right? But she does her best to, you know, cover it up. You know, she does wear a blonde wig because Madison is blonde, and she does lots of nights in the town and pictures and everything like that. So, and then she's doing that just to kind of live her life. You know, when Madison lost her passport, she got all the information she needed from her because you need mother's maiden name, all the stuff. So, you know, she is posing as Madison, you know, requesting credit card increases, and everything like that. So, eventually, I don't know what CW decides to do to go after someone else. Although, like, she got bored. So she starts looking, you know, on TikTok and Instagram, primarily Instagram, of other people in Thailand. So she goes, hey, here's this person that's in Thailand. And she's, oh, look, I'm traveling by myself in Thailand. You know, that's the post on Instagram. So she kind of starts to stalk her a little bit. And, you know, she's like, hey, you know, following her around a little bit, goes to the bar, finds the hotel she's staying at. And this other woman, Jessica, to follow her to like an old shop in the dark alleyway. She's like, hey, that's not real jade for the Buddha statue. She's like, oh, my sister wouldn't notice because she won't know any better. and she tries just to be a nice person, but Jessica is very wary of her, I'd say initially, more so than Madison ever was.
Well, I think Jessica is more worldly
Yeah.
than both of them are. So I think it's kind of immediate right off the bat that CW is kind of outclassed,
Right.
at least as far as like the travel influencer goes.
Right. Who has a team, who has like mantras, and it's all about finding yourself and everything like that.
Yeah, she has the confidence that CW tries to project, but Jessica actually has.
Right. But that doesn't dissuade CW, so she tries even harder. So she follows her to another bar, and she goes, hey, why don't you hang out with me? We'll do all this stuff. I'm a big fan. I didn't mean to freak out. It's like, yeah, I follow your mantra. I'm just trying to work on myself like you're saying to do. So I started just kind of like fangirling out originally, right? Try to play that portion of it.
Well, yeah, because at this point, she basically figured out, okay, I'm not going to be able to do the, I know more about this area than you. I'll help you out type of thing.
Right.
Now she has to like bow to Jessica's superiority and play the fangirl, or else it's not going to work.
Yeah. So anyway, she's like, hey, I think her stuff's broken into as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they don't actually show it.
She says it.
They do. Yeah, they do show her stealing Jessica's hotel key.
Yeah.
And then they show her breaking into her room while she was off having dinner with one of her sponsors.
Right.
So yeah, we're assuming that same thing happened.
Right.
And they do say it later.
Yeah.
They don't actually show it.
So anyway, she's like, hey, just come back to my place. It's okay. And Jessica is like, okay, this is weird, but this is what I gotta do. And she comes back, and there's like a path of rose petals leading there. And CW had told Jessica's like, hey, I have a boyfriend, blah blah blah, and he left, whatever lie she was telling.
Well, she was basically just giving her Madison story.
Right. But Madison's boyfriend Ryan is there, who we saw earlier, like roving douchebags, like, oh, I have a photo shoot, I'm doing all this stuff, I can't be with you in Thailand. And when she lost her passport, like, how could you do that to me? I don't understand how you could do that to me. It's just so like you to have your room broken into and your passport stolen. So at this point in time, you immediately dislike Ryan.
I don't think you were ever supposed to like.
No. So anyway, it's like, oh yeah, Madison's not here, but we can all just hang out. Madison is finding this new stuff. She's like, hey, she found another guy. Here's all these videos and posts, and he, CW is able to do an AI voice bot to call Ryan, who's like 20 feet away from her as she's doing it on the computer. But like, you know what? Maybe Madison will calm down. Hey, let's just all go hang out. And as Jessica and Ryan start talking, they start veering the conversation to her about Madison and other things, and CW just kind of like interjects. She's like realizing that when they're close to saying something that might catch her in a lie, she tries to interject. So anyway, they're like, hey, this doesn't sound like Madison at all. How well do you really know her? She's like, oh, I've known her for a few days. She brought me here. It's like, well, this is Madison's place. And so they're starting to figure out that, okay, something's wrong with CW. But anyway, they go to a party, they start drinking, and Jessica essentially tricks CW to get away from her, and she calls a taxi to go back and get her stuff. She's like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable here, all this stuff. So CW goes there, pays off the cabbie. She's like, hey, I don't know why you're doing this. And she's like, and then Jessica just calls her out on her bullshit. Like, okay, this is way too weird. This is way too awkward. I don't want to have anything to do with this. I see who you really are. And then CW proceeds to bash her head into the stone pillar and then push her high heel into her throat, killing her. And she stuffs her into her own suitcase.
Yeah.
So anyway, Ryan kind of comes back with a bunch of bros. She's like, hey, they can't be here. This isn't cool. And so it's like, all right, he wakes up. Yeah. Oh, Jessica's gone. It's like, that's so weird. Um, so anyway, they're kind of going back and forth about this weirdness. Eventually, CW roofies him and then uses his roofie state to unlock his phone because she found out that Ryan took a picture of Jessica with her in the background. So there's evidence there of her online. So she tricks him and pretends like they had sex. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to leave. So we see him on a ferry out of there, and we see flashbacks of his relationship and meeting with Madison the first time, and like how he kind of started her influencer career. That she really wasn't caring about it, but he kind of like led her to do all this influencer stuff. So anyway, he does kind of like investigations, like, oh shit, here's Madison posting this. Let me go frame by frame. Holy crap, it's CW. Okay, that's not cool. So he gets us back to mainland Thailand and starts going to the hotel she's at. It's like, hey, have you seen this woman? No. And then lo and behold, the drunk British guy shows up like, I don't know her. Oh, wait, yeah, she was here, a couple weeks ago. But these pictures are fake because we just had a storm and there's not a cloud in the sky. He's like, yeah, she's with a woman with a birthmark on her face. So anyway, Ryan goes back to the house that, CW is staying at, knocks her out. And even while tied up, she is sticking to her gun. She's like, hey, Madison told me everything, that you beat her, that this is all coming. He's like, drop the act. Like, I see you through your lies. He's like, you're going to take me to her. So he's like, all right. So she's tied up, leads her to the boat, and then she gets to jump on him and drowns him. So I had to double check why she's going back to the island that she got Madison off at. And like, oh, maybe she's going there to bury or drop the body off of Ryan that she just killed. She kind of goes up there. It's like, oh, there's a lot more. Like, there's 7 there before, and there's another 20 additional.
Well, first she goes back home.
Yeah, and burns all her stuff.
Yeah, burns all her stuff and makes herself food and gets rid of everything there. And then because she took over everybody's social media accounts, so she posts on Madison's media account that Ryan has been abusing her.
Right.
And basically, even though he's dead, his life is now destroyed. So it does now that he disappears, it makes sense. Right. Because like you see an email from like his job saying we no longer want you involved with the company, and like all these people are like basically like, oh, I knew he was a jerk, I knew he was abusive, blah blah blah.
Right.
So basically she ruined his life and then basically gave him an out because she thought that he might have friends or had a backup plan, so she does that to make sure nobody will come looking.
Right. So anyway, she kind of goes back to the island to get rid of him, but she sees there's fire, there's a fish, there's like I said 20 more tally marks. So she grabs a shovel, she kind of goes up to the top and then sees like, huh, that's weird, there's 2 crosses here. I didn't put those there. And then boom, Madison's still alive, hits her over the head with a log, I guess. I don't remember what it was. And she drives away with the boat, and CW just kind of smiles as Madison drives back. The end. I know for me, this wasn't the first time I watched it. I don't think this is the first time you watched it either.
No, I watched it when it came out last year.
Yeah. And I think it was just as good the on the rewatch. I think it's just a different take on it, but it's still the same subject matter. Social media can be dangerous in the wrong hands. And it's I'll say one of the interesting parts of having a woman essentially be a serial killer is unusual, especially in movies.
Yeah, but usually if they happen, they do happen in that way, where they're either like a Black Widow or in the way that they take over other people's lives.
Right. Um, I still think it's a good movie. I mean, what was your first thought and then rewatches on this?
um, I mean, it's good. I mean, it's I've seen CW in a couple other movies before. I think this is the main. Well, this is probably like her first starring role, as far as I know.
I believe so because she was in It's a Wonderful Knife.
Yeah, she's. I mean, again, I've seen her in a couple little smaller roles. She was in Loudermilk. You ever watch that show?
No.
She had a minor role in that show. Again, she's been in a couple of things, but this is like the first time I've seen her and stuff, and she is very good at it. And I think she plays it off really well, and it's. I mean, like overall, it's a well made movie. It's an interesting, viewpoint, I guess. Not one that I know much about. I don't really know the whole, travel influencer world, but
Right.
I mean, they sold it. They explained it well enough. So
Yeah. You want me to go first with my highlights this time?
sure.
Like I said, having her being the Black Widow serial killer, like I said, it's rare in movies. Like I said, they are Black Widow though, and the movie plays it off really well. I think it shows the idea of even like AI in social media that if you post enough pictures of yourself, you record yourself saying enough stuff that maybe eventually someone will be able to do what CW does with her pictures and her voice and really being able to deep fake stuff. That's just the caveats of putting yourself online all the time, that it's easier to pretend to be someone that you're not. And I enjoy seeing that stance of social media. I also kind of like that, CW doesn't really have a say out loud motivation for doing what she's doing. Does she need to be doing it? Don't really know. She seems to have money. Does she enjoy doing it? Clearly. But when
Well,
Jessica,
I think she just has money because they showed that she did this to at least like 4 other people before.
right,
So yeah, I mean, if she's maxing out their cards and shit and buying everything in their name, then yeah, she would she would appear to have money. But overall, she probably has to continue to keep doing this to keep up that lifestyle.
right. But I think it's funny, that motivation is questioned when Jessica is like, "Hey, just take my money. I don't want it." But she doesn't really want her money. She wants to be them. She wants to be that influencer. And maybe it's because she has the birthmark that she thinks that she can't be that influencer that these people are. She thinks that she's maybe good looking enough to do that.
I mean, it's odd because I mean, she does like present herself. I mean, she does like hit on guys and
Mhm.
like put herself in the same kind of situation. So it's
She's very
I don't
confident.
I don't know if yeah I don't know if she's like thinking that she's not good enough. I think she thinks she's better than them,
Yeah,
and that she deserves it more than they do because they're pathetic with their whole travel blogger bullshit. And I think that's why she specifically targets those people. Because I think that's why she puts them on that island. She puts them on the island, be like, if you were really a travel blogger like person, you'd be able to fucking survive on this island.
right.
And I think that's why she smiles at the end. It's because she finally found one that was real. Like a person that can travel on their own and deal with real situations and survive.
Right.
I think that's what she was ultimately looking for. And I think that's why she smiles at the end. Because yeah, she did lose in the end, but she found what she was looking for. And I think that's what it all boiled down to for her. It was just the thrill of the hunt.
Yeah. But that's what makes this a good highlight for me, is that because you're able to, we both had different takes on it, right? It's not clearly defined like, oh, she's evil. No, it's just more of a nuance than pure evil, let's say.
Right.
And she, for only being, like you would think that maybe she's done this enough that she's done like 20 or 30, right? But only a couple. And I'd say she is pretty damn resourceful. for doing this, right? That she has almost everything planned out to a scary degree.
Well, you have to.
Yeah. But I like that though, that it's not just a whimsical serial killer. There's a lot of thought and effort put into it. It's not a crime of murder or passion. It's not for what most people would think a typical serial killer would do. Those are my highlights. How about you?
Let's see. I mean, the locations were gorgeous. I will give it that. I mean, the landscapes in Thailand, because it was actually filmed in Thailand. I mean, it's gorgeous there. I don't know if I'd want to go there, but it looks nice. There's a lot of like really cool looking like landscapes you don't get here, right? I did like though how the basically like the first 30 minutes of the movie was just like the opening scene. It was just like a long, drawn out opening scene. I thought that was pretty cool. There was some, I mean, fun twists, right? I mean, the kind of shifting landscape, and she manages to kind of, stay one step ahead
Mhm.
most of the time. I think at the end there, when Jessica and Ryan were kind of teaming up on her, like she had lost. There was just no way around that, and that's what she had to actually resort to violence, which I don't think she's had to do before. But
Well, I mean,
she was ready for it.
But I mean, if she was all about violence, she would have killed Madison, not left her there.
Well, yeah, but apparently, again, she's not against violence. I think
Right.
it's just odd. It's weird, but there were fun twists. It was fun seeing her alive at the end anyway, and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, the movie only has like 2 deaths in it, right? We only have Jessica and Ryan.
Yeah.
Everybody else survives.
Mhm.
And I will say that CW did a fantastic job. Cassandra Naud is her name. I thought she did a very good job. I wonder. I hope we'll see her in more stuff in the future. Maybe we'll see. I'll roll right to my lows here. Influencers, just in general, I hate the idea of influencers, like people that are famous because like people want them to be. Essentially, there's no real reason. Just like oh, I'm gonna go do a thing and then make a big deal about it, and then people are gonna go, oh, that's cool. That's like their whole life. It's bizarre to me, but again, most social media is. Um, I don't know if internationally traveling to a sex tourism destination is a good idea, like by yourself, right? I mean, that just seems like a disaster waiting to happen to me. But I mean, again, I guess I don't travel often enough. That just seemed like a bad idea to me. Um, yeah. I mean, they were like living these like glamorous lives, but they also looked like miserable at the same time. Like they were living in these like lavish, fancy places with all these windows, and like the food they like looked like beautiful and all that kind of stuff. And they're taking pictures, smiling, and then as soon as the camera goes down, it's just like they look fucking miserable. Like it looks so lonely and miserable. I'm like, I think that was, I mean, on purpose, to show that, yeah, they look great on camera, but in real life they're having a bad time. I'm like, wow, maybe you shouldn't do it then. Maybe you should find something else that you actually enjoy. The hotels, right? She's breaking into the hotel safes and shit, right, to get their passports and all that. Um, Hotels have cameras. And even if it's bad CCTV, like she has a pretty noticeable feature that you would be able to go, yeah, that's her. So, yeah, the level of luxury that these hotels were, there's no way they didn't have cameras watching them doors.
Right.
Like if you have a hotel room that has a double door, guaranteed there's a camera pointing at it. There's no fucking way they don't. That's big money.
Right.
So and again, like her being as unique as she is, there's no way they wouldn't have been like looked right at it. Oh, look, there it is. Like they would have been able to see exactly who it was doing it. I'm just a very obvious thing that I noticed. And of course, sexual assault is never good.
Correct.
I don't like to see it, but we fucking see it all the time. But that's it for me.
Ryan is a douchebag.
Yes, he is. That's correct.
And like I said, I'll elaborate obviously on that too. Like putting Madison into that influencer life, and then getting mad that she's hitting it, let's say big, right? And then I have this important shoot. Like he helped create this lifestyle for her, and he even booked that retreat to Thailand for her. And go, oh, this is so like you for your room to get broken into and your passport stolen. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, I think we can pretty much sum him up in 1-2 word
Man bun.
Yeah, exactly. He's a man bun. He's a walking man bun. That's all you need to know.
Well, and the worst part of his man bun is only dyed blonde.
Yeah, the man bun is blonde. The rest of his hair is brown. So again, it's a like fancy man bun.
Yeah,
that's all you need to know.
You talk about going to Thailand, going to that area, but as it is, but going by yourself, posting you're by yourself,
right? It's brave. I mean, it's a bold move, I guess, but like, I don't know. Okay.
No, there's no way in hell I would do that.
I mean, I wouldn't do that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know why these women, like attractive women. Oh, by the way, I'm vacationing by myself in a place known for sex tourism.
Yeah,
like not a good plan.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it shows the fakeness of her having to take pictures of everything. Like she seemed upset by it, but this is what she has to do. Why? I don't know. Go do something else.
Well, it's her job at this point. And she was apparently doing it for her boyfriend, because as we see in the flashback, he got her into it innocently enough. But again, they're probably both living off of that now.
Right. Yeah. And I would say CW, for let's say this being her fourth person, way too cocky.
Well, I mean, yeah, once you get away with it once, right, you're going to start getting cocky. And if you've gotten away with it 4 times, yeah, you're going to be a cocky ass. You think you got it all down pat. Again, that's how most serial killers get caught.
Right.
Is they don't get caught for a while, and so they think, oh, they're never going to fucking find me. So they start getting bolder and bolder. They start killing closer and closer together. And then eventually they make a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I don't like the fakeism that it exists with influencers. Like, oh, I'm gonna post my meal. Oh wait, that picture didn't look great. That picture didn't look great. Let me take like 20 of them. Now I can eat my cold food. I don't have this desire to share with the world my meal.
I don't either, man. It's like I'm gonna eat it, or either I cooked it or I'm gonna eat it. It's for me. I don't want anybody else knowing. I mean, I don't want anybody else being involved.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know what the illusion was of those 2 crosses. But Madison did not bury them in that solid rock on that island.
I don't know. maybe she found bones and she just stacked them up there under rocks or something. I don't know.
Maybe. But it was like a cliff edge. Like, she's not going to do anything with that.
But a geologist, I couldn't tell you what the ground was made out of.
I don't think Madison was going to be doing any burials into that, okay, without a shovel, nonetheless.
I don't know. She had plenty of time. You see what the professor did on Gilligan's Island.
That's true. That's what I got for my low points.
All right. So, influencer 2023. How many intrusive notifications out of 10? Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
I will say this is the second time I watched it. It's okay. It's I mean it's a good movie, but it's not one I run to like watch a lot. So I'll
Yeah.
give it like 6.8.
6.8.
6.8 intrusive notifications out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's an interesting movie. It's an interesting take over something that I particularly don't care for, the social media stuff like that. But I do like it better than Spree, so I will give it 8 intrusive notifications out of 10.
All right. So then we have our final film here, which is Followers from 2024,
Yep.
which I believe was also the budget.
$2,000 or $20.24.
Yes. So yeah, we're talking low budget here, folks. But so it starts off with three lady friends that are going on a hiking / camping trip into the desert. I guess desert lake, like a salt lake. I don't know what. I guess that's what that was. I don't know. Whatever. So they go out there and they're gonna like I guess this is the trip that they do every year.
Mm-hmm.
They go out there and they're like kind of being watched. They see people off in the distance watching them, kind of creepy, but they're far enough away where they can't really get any details. But anyway, it turns out that they are in fact being hunted by the Wolf Man, who's a guy in like one of the worst fucking masks I've ever seen in my life. It looks like a kid made it out of fucking like paper plates and like
Let's call it
colored construction paper.
Let's call it the Temu version of Frank the Rabbit, but it's supposed to be a wolf.
Oh my god, it's so bad. And there's a bunch of them, and they all have the same horrible masks. Like you think one of them would buy a real one anyway.
Well, they're not the same mask. Their eye holes are varying sizes.
Yeah, correct. One of the eye holes was, I swear, covering his eye the entire time. Like, why don't just cut it out? But anyway, sorry. This is later. Yeah, they're being hunted by the Wolfman, who shoots magically teleporting bolts. Don't ever fire, but end up sticking in things. So anyway, yeah, they're being chased through the forest. One girl gets a bear trap to the leg. One girl gets shot with a crossbow bolt in the leg. And then, yeah, essentially they end up, overcoming and beating Mr. Wolfman.
Yep.
The one girl kills him with a sledgehammer blow to the head. Yeah. And then so then we fast forward. It was like what, 2 years in the future, something like that. Anyway, it's like 2 years later. To where the one girl is like an influencer, essentially, right? She's like very popular. She had made a documentary about their encounter with the wolf guy in the woods,
surviving alpha wolf.
Right. Yeah.
Essentially.
So yeah, they made a documentary. It released that day. Like apparently she made money off of it, but again, she got everybody's permission to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So she's trying to have like a kind of anniversary thing to get everybody together, because apparently they've all kind of drifted apart since that time.
Right.
So the one girl, she gets on board right away, Riley. And then the other girl, the one that actually killed the guy with the sledgehammer, who's apparently like an agoraphobic at this point. Like she doesn't like leaving, she doesn't like going anywhere. She feels like people are always staring at her when she does. She's just very uncomfortable.
Shouts at them inside the public library.
Yeah, exactly. So she seems to have like this supportive boyfriend, right, who lives with her. And the one girl calls her up like, "Hey, I'm having a big barbecue for New Year's. Why don't you come down?" And she's like, "No, I don't think I can." She gets off the phone. Her boyfriend is like, "Oh, you should go. You should meet up with your friends. Like this is, you haven't seen them in a while. This is usually an anniversary thing. You should go." Like convince her to go. So they all go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Sledgehammer girl and her boyfriend. It's influencer girl and her crypto boy boyfriend, Crypto Bro boyfriend, and then Riley and her girlfriend, her vegan, like, crystal wearing
Her
girlfriend.
vegan life partner.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, they're all there, and they're like, it's very awkward, right? It's like they haven't been around each other. You can tell that there's a lot of friction between Influencer and Sledgehammer Girl, right?
Hmm.
Um, basically, yeah. So they're trying to, like, have some drinks, have some food, grill some vegan patties,
Make a salad that takes 2 hours to make. Yeah.
right. Yeah, like, every scene that was in the kitchen, from like the beginning to like when they ate, she was like chopping at shit on that fucking chopping block. It was just never ending. Like, that salad should have been the size of the table.
Yeah. Somehow
Anyway.
still fresh. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. No browning at all. It's GMOs. So they kind of like show their, quality, right? So the
Mhm.
Sledgehammer Girl's boyfriend is kind of like nerdy, quiet guy. Influencer's boyfriend is like, crypto bro that can't stop crypto broing, right? Talking
Right.
to
He
his,
couldn't pop his collar enough.
right, yeah, like, wouldn't stop. Vegan girl is like, ultra vegan. She's high all the time. They literally show her smoking a bowl like, I don't, like, what, 5 times.
Yes.
It's like every single scene she's in, she's smoking another fucking bowl. It's like nonstop.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's annoying. So that's basically, the character development that we get, right? So then they all sit down to eat their steaks and vegan patties. And then the whole reason for this get together comes out, where Influencer Girl wants to make a movie based on, not just the documentary, but a movie based on their experience, and she needs everybody to sign off on it. Of course, they're all going to be paid, but she needs them all to sign off on it. Sledgehammer Girl gets all offended and all pissy about it. And so they're fighting back and forth. Oh, this is the only reason you invited us out here. Like, I can't believe you would do this to me. Like, this is, you just want this money, blah, blah, blah. So
Mhm.
as that's happening, we get like, I guess we'll call, like, the Wolf Crew.
The wolf pack.
Yeah, the Wolf Pack. They all show up, and they're all fucking, paper plate, construction paper wolf masks. And they like invade the house, right? They like all come in different angles, and they like invade the house. So,
After they kill a guy walking his dog.
yeah, oh yeah. Sorry, kill a guy walking his dog. Completely pointless
Mhm.
thing, just to show these guys mean business, I guess. So they come in, they like hit rifle butt, like, quiet boyfriend, right? He goes down, and it kind of made it seem like he was supposed to be dead, right? Like, he just
Well,
disappeared from the movie. They hit him with the rifle butt, blood came out of his nose, and then he just like disappeared from the movie for like at least 20 minutes.
because we all know that rifle headbutts either knock you out for 8 hours or kill you instantaneously.
Well, yeah, it's like a light switch.
Yeah.
Rifle butt is you go down. Whether you wake up or not is how hard you do it.
Yep.
But yeah, so like he goes down, he's out of the film for like 20 minutes. Like, I was like, is he supposed to be dead? Are we supposed to believe he's dead? And then Riley gets shot in the shoulder, and then she goes down again. We're supposed to pretend like she's dead, I guess. I don't know. They like, as kind of alluded to the fact that they're dead, but they're very clearly not. So anyway, so these guys come in, and they're all like, oh, we're gonna, get vengeance for our wolf friend that you guys killed.
Yep.
So like they, put the gun to Crypto Bro's head, like, oh, if you, shoot your influencer girlfriend, we'll let you go. So they give him a gun. He actually does pull the trigger, pointing it at Influencer Girl, but oh, shock, surprise, it's not loaded. They shoot him and kill him.
Yeah.
So they then take, like, Riley is down.
I think the
Sle-
vegan life partner is dead at this point too.
Yeah, well, yeah, the vegan life partner was in the other room smoking a bowl. Shocker, when this happened, and somebody came in through the balcony and killed her.
Yep.
And then so Sledgehammer Girl is like somehow hiding. She was not there when it all happened. So anyway, so they take Influencer Girl, they like tie her up, and they're like trying to like put it on video that like they're gonna do horrible bad things to her, whatever.
Probably posted on 4chan.
Yeah, I most likely, and that's kind of what they were alluding to. So yeah, so this is all going to happen, and then we find out that um, her boyfriend, the quiet, innocent guy, oh no, he's in on it. Like,
Yep.
what a surprise! I was so surprised. It's like the second he was like, "Oh, you should totally go." Like he's supposed to be this quiet, supportive boyfriend, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I don't care about your feelings. You should totally go to this thing." Like, yeah, he's in on it. I knew it.
Mm,
Anyway, so he was, so now he's in on it, and now he's Mr. Cool, Calm, Collected. Like, I'm evil, right? We're gonna do horrible things to you. Blah blah. So they're gonna like fight. Of course, Sledgehammer Girl finds the gun. Um, and comes in and starts shooting, and then everybody kind of scatters. Um, I don't know. People die. Then, like the police show up. Um, they end up like I don't know, the two guys that look like plumbers, right? They did not look like police. They look like two plumbers. Like one guy was literally wearing a knit cap. Like cops don't wear knit caps. But anyway, so they were basically trying to avenge their wolf friend and stream it online, and they fought back. Of course, the same Sledgehammer Girl fought back and beat them. Riley, oh surprise, she's not dead either.
right.
So it's essentially just everybody's partner dies. and, and the three girls manage to live through it, and then everybody but the driver wolf guy does get away. All the other wolves get killed. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add in there?
They get killed too. They all get shot down.
Well, at the very end.
Yeah.
at the very end, they do.
Yes. And then the new alpha wolf pack leader goes to prison.
Right.
Yeah. The end.
Yeah. As you can kind of tell, I was drinking. I started caring less and less and less as the movie went along.
So, what are your first thoughts?
I will say, for as low budget as it was not as bad as it could have been. How about that? That's about as good as I can get. It's not horrible, but it is not a movie that I would recommend. How about that? What about you? What do you think?
This movie popped up on streaming, and I didn't really pay attention to where it was posted. It's Bloody Disgusting, which is indie horror, and this was kind of the prompt for the social media stuff. I didn't watch any trailers for this. I didn't realize it was going to be an indie horror.
I had no idea at all. I just saw followers, and I was like, oh, it's got to do with social media. I'll just put it in with these other two.
Yep.
movies.
I thought it was an interesting movie, and it does. I think it does tie into this movie, this theme of this episode really well. Do you want to start with your highlights?
Sure. I did like the camp invasion thing. That's kind of scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Camping in the woods and somebody like hunts you. That's not good. I do like that they made fun of the Alpha Pack by like basically making them Proud Boys.
Oh yeah.
That was funny. They literally like went into like their manifesto, and they have this thing because Proud Boys have all these weird, goofy.
Right.
But one of them is the whole no fap thing, right? They
Yep.
literally talk like we're not allowed to touch the flesh of a woman, like all these bizarre rules, and like, yep, they're making fun of Proud Boys. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like the ending. The ending with everybody just dies and just end it. was good. I'm glad there was no like hero at the end. That's it. That's all I got. What do you got?
I mean, August was a good dog.
Of course.
Right? We can't forget the dogs.
Huh.
So we talk about this a lot with people going, hey, look at my movie. I like to throw references in to other things. And I personally thought when the show's the new alpha leader of the pack, when he's in jail, he's wearing Jeffrey Dahmer's glasses.
They're called the rapist glasses.
And I was almost expecting a voice saying, oh, look at him. He wouldn't hurt a fly. Because that stare he does in the camera is the exact stare that Anthony Perkins does in Psycho. And so I will give him credit that it took to the very end to emulate all the horror movies they want to pay homage to. It wasn't.
but those were pretty light though.
Yeah,
but most of the time they're overt. Like they will actually say the words,
right? But
say the names of the movies or actors or characters. Right.
But I do appreciate that it was just that it was its own thing. You know what I mean? So I do like that. And of course, it's indie horror. You know, for anyone who doesn't know, I have a soft spot for indie horror just because now I'm part of it. So, it doesn't stop us from going into it either. You know, did I look at this movie from a different point of view than I would have, say, 13, 14 months ago? A little bit, I would say. But it made me kind of appreciate what they did with probably what budget they had. You know what I mean? Did they really show things? Not necessarily, but they still had some effects. It was there. So I do appreciate that. So I appreciate movies like this a little bit more than I would have a little bit ago. So, do you want me to low into my low points?
Go for it, buddy.
We got a puker.
Dear God. I was like, this is your fucking song? I've never heard that one. I heard the diarrhea song.
Mm-hmm.
Sliding into home, pants full of foam. Like that whole thing. Like, yeah, like that. I heard that. I never heard the puking song.
No.
I've never heard, like, is the diarrhea song copyrighted or something? Like, why are you doing this bizarre puke song?
Yeah. You don't need to have people throw up in movies. Okay, so my nitpicks are going to be sleeping with lights on in your tent with the zipper open. You want bugs all over you? That's how you get bugs all over you camping. Now,
yeah, that's how you can tell they don't actually know how to camp.
Right. Now, was that because they need to wait to show that they're in the tent and they couldn't show shadows? That's entirely possible. But
where the fuck else are they gonna be?
I know. I think
you show a tent with a light in it, and there you go. There you are.
But you don't go sleep with a light in your tent. That's like how you.
I know, but you really don't go to sleep with a fucking tent unzipped. No one ever does that in the history of camping.
Correct.
Go to sleep with their tent unzipped.
Right. So that bothered me a lot.
It did. That's it. Literally, that's number one on my list too.
Okay, so these are social media influencers, really at least two of them, or the idea of it, right? They're starting their camping trip, and here's the thing. They go, oh, my phone's only at 18% left when they start their trip.
Yeah, yes. It's like you just got out of the car.
Right.
You just got out of the car. What are you doing?
So to me, that low battery is now used of why people can't use cell phones. And then they already had the other woman go into, quote, the lake with the single phone charger for a weekend getaway for influencers. No one's that unprepared to have their shit there as an influencer. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously correct. Yes.
I would say in her Sledgehammer Girl's apartment, and they go, okay, so she's going to school for I don't remember what it was, law,
Sure.
but she had a music theory book on her bookshelf and goes, there's not enough books here. Let's go ahead and throw an unopened jigsaw puzzle into the book stand to make it seem like she's more studious.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a college apartment? There's random shit all over the place. You don't know how to decorate yet.
Abrupt cuts.
Oh God.
There's a lot.
I don't think there's anything else.
Correct. It's not fades. It's abrupt cuts. I have issues that regardless of indie or not.
No, and I'll add to that. There's like bizarre zooming in in the middle of shots and shit. Like, what are you doing? Like, cause they zoom in and then, but it's still doing the shaky cam shit.
Yes.
So like when it zoomed in, like it does the shaky and like the face is completely out of frame for like a couple seconds before they move it back. I'm like, okay, you get a fucking steady cam. If you're gonna zoom in on somebody like that, get a fucking steady cam, or else it's gonna be all over the fucking place. So yeah, it was shaky cam, zooming, bad editing. Yeah, it was the whole caboodle.
And that's the thing. Like doing what I'm doing now, I can go, okay, getting a steady cam is not that hard at all. So I don't understand that. The fact that like every alpha pack wolf leader guy was like heavy breathing, like they're all asthmatic.
Oh yeah, they're all fucking 4chan incels. What do you expect?
That's true, but like it maybe that was the sell now that they're trying to be like Jason Voorhees, like the over exaggerated breathing and shrugs while they're breathing. I mean, one guy's eye hole was almost to his mouth, so he should have been breathed just fine.
Yeah. The one guy's eye hole was like the angle that it was, you couldn't see his one eye.
Yeah.
Nobody saw an issue the whole time.
Right. And if these vegans were as vegan-y as they seem to be enough to bring their own stuff, there's no way they're allow their vegan patties to be cooked by that bro, because he would not give a shit about their vegan patties.
Well, you know what? And that's their own fault. Like, if you bring vegan patties that you don't know how to cook to someone who is now being surprised with something that he has to cook at the very last minute, and then you don't specify to him that you would like this to be cooked away from the other stuff, you would like it to not touch, blah, 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 like, please keep it separate. They didn't say anything like that. She just brought up, oh, there's these vegan patties. I think you just cook them like regular steaks. That's it. That's all that was said. Like, if you come up with that kind of attitude, he's going to treat it with that kind of attitude. There's no fault there.
And for anyone listening, you do not treat vegan patties the same way you do steaks.
Obviously not. But also, I will point out that when he brought the plate back, they were all mixed up on the plate. But after they were done eating, the vegan patties were still on the plate. Nobody ate the vegan patties. I'm guessing because they were like, you know what? Those are touching steaks. I'm just going to stick with the salad.
Or maybe because they look like ungraved Salisbury steak.
Oh, have you ever seen a fucking vegan patty? That's what they all look like, dude.
I know.
Unless you're at like a restaurant, like restaurants will make them look fancy, but like if you're cooking stuff that you can make at home, yeah, they all look like that. They're either crumbling apart or they look like a smushed up Salisbury steak.
Yeah. And for the bro getting mad that his mom with the hallways with 100 lights per hallway would not want a beer bottle on her marble countertop, you're making splattery margaritas on that thing.
Well, yeah, it's just the guy's being an ass. Again, they literally had lines for him to show that he's a dick. That's all it was. Every line he had was being an ass. That was his whole character arc. I'm an ass.
Yeah.
And then he got shot.
Yep. That's what I got. How about you?
Yeah, like I said, first thing on the list, 10 Unzipped. obviously second thing on the list, editing, zooming, and shaky cam. So yeah, a lot of the same stuff here. Acting was fucking atrocious. The FX were like I said, we already talked about the masks. The crossbow bolts. The crossbows never actually fired anything. They would like show the guy holding the crossbow, and then they would like move the camera casually over. Not even like a zipper or a cut. It was like they would casually move the camera over, and then it was like sticking in something.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he shot her in the leg, there was no like immediacy. There was no like, oh look, I shot her in the leg. No, she was already on the ground with the arrow through her leg. It was like there was no like urgency or anything. It was bizarre. It was a bizarrely shot scene.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the opening trail thing, it was a bit too long and very anticlimactic, right? Because you get this climax of like, oh, they fought the guy and they won, and then it's like it just goes nowhere. Like the whole next like 30 minutes is just boring as shit. So like you have a big exciting moment like 20 minutes in, and then there's just boring plateau, and then it starts up again. It's like a bizarre pacing. I don't know. It was just like very jarring. It was hard to just keep focusing on the movie and do it. And I will say, what the fuck? They were all weapons experts.
Yes.
Anytime somebody touched a weapon, they were an expert at it. Like Riley, like the fucking, vegan girl, somehow picked up a gun, obviously did not know how to use it at all, fired once directly through the eyes, like right between the eyes, bang.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sledgehammer Girl picked up the gun and she's, shooting it like she's in fucking SEAL Team 6. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I'm sorry. It's not, nope.
No? Oh.
No. No. But yeah, everybody was like a fucking expert. It just drives me nuts when people do that. Like, it's okay if people don't know how to use guns. Most people don't.
Correct.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
All right. So you want me to go first number of intrusive notifications out of 10?
Sure, buddy. Go for it.
Like I said, with another show we do and stuff like that, like I said, I will forgive the low budget indie horror aspects of it. I won't forgive the editing because that is a choice and that is how it's done. There are different choices that definitely have been made. I will give this 5 intrusive notifications out of 10. How about you?
I will go 3.4 intrusive notifications out of 10.
Okay. Cool. Why don't you bring us home?
Right. Anything else you want to add?
Social media bad.
Yeah. All right. Shh. What's it say? Tread carefully when taking your family for a walk. Make sure to remove all the batteries from your toys and try not to scream, except if you're at the waterfall.
Yeah.
I'm giving it away now. That's going to be one of my my low points is why the fuck don't you just live at the waterfall? Sorry. And maybe don't have a baby when sound sensitive aliens are invading. That's a good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're entering the Quiet Place universe next week, and we're reviewing the newest entry, Day 1, but we'll also be doing Quiet Place 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's just 2, right? It's Quiet Place 2. Does it have a tagline or anything?
Part 2. Quieter. I don't know.
Yeah. Too fast, too quiet.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know I've seen both of them, so I just don't remember what the title was. But yeah, Day 1 just it's out already, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's out already as the time of this recording, but yeah, we're gonna go see it and then talking about it next week. So remember, we watch bad movies, so you don't have to.
And this has been Graveyard saying, have you checked on the children?
And this is Salem saying, long live the new flesh.
Good night.
Good night.